What is up, guys? It is your boy NCO7 here. Welcome to another review video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Splatoon 3. So this game came out a week ago, a little over a week ago, and I've been playing it quite a bit. And if you didn't know, before I actually made DDLC mods, which is what am most well known for now. Before that, I was mostly well known for Splatoon related content. And by very well known, I meant like I only had like 400 subscribers at the time. So yeah, but regardless though, that is what most people who knew my channel knew me for. So with Splatoon 3 finally out, I figure it's time to finally make a review of it. So let's go right into it. Starting off with the presentation of the game. Now, it's basically Splatoon 3. It's the sequel to Splatoon 2, and if you don't know what Splatoon is, it's a shooter game. You shoot ink, you have to cover the most ink on the battlefield. In the normal turf war, there's other modes as well, but we'll get into those later. You can transform between a human and a squid, and yeah, I mean, I really shouldn't have to explain Splatoon, should I? You all know how it is, but Splatoon 3, is it really that different? Well, it is, but I'll get more into that later. But honestly though, presentation-wise, it's basically the same as the other Splatoon games, and that it's really good, and especially visually. Now, obviously the game doesn't look like that much graphically better than that of Splatoon 2, but I still think the game looks pretty solid though, and hey, it really doesn't do much. Although there is one thing I do want to kind of note, and I'm not really sure if this is just a me thing, but is it just me, or do I feel like the Inkling designs were slightly changed? I don't know, maybe it's just the animations they have in their face, but it doesn't feel, I feel like they were slightly redesigned. I'm not sure if this is actually true or not. I don't know. I feel like they don't look the exact same as they did in Splatoon 1 and 2. They look more like how they did in Smash Brothers. I don't know. Someone let me know in the comment section if I'm right or wrong on that, because I really am unsure. But now moving on to the story. Now there is obviously a story mode in the game, and basically the story of the game is the Great Zapfish is missing again for the third time, but this time it wasn't kidnapped by the Actarians, and it was kidnapped by somebody else, and then you fall to this underground world called Alterna, which kind of seems to be like an early human civilization kind of place and whatnot, and you gotta basically figure out what's going on and steal the Great Zapfish back. That's basically the story. Now, honestly, the story itself really isn't that amazing, if I'm going to be completely honest. While it does take some turns within the story, it really isn't that amazing, if I'm going to be completely honest. But what it really comes down to is the lore in the game, as you have the sunken scrolls, as well as some logs of what the world you're exploring really is. And I really like that stuff. I really like it, because honestly, that's what makes Splatoon's story so special. It's just all the lore behind what just happened to the world and all that jazz. Really good stuff. So story-wise, Splatoon 3 is really good. Now moving on to the gameplay. Now, I already mentioned the gameplay before. It's a shooting game, but it isn't the same as Call of Duty and stuff like that. I mean, it's actually good. An actually good game. Like I said before, you spray ink, and you gotta spray the most ink on as opposed to the other side, so that way you can win in Turf War. I've pretty much already mentioned that before, but there's also some other stuff as well, such as ranked battles, this time called Anarchy Battles, which can be either Splat Zones, Clan Blitz, Rainmaker, and Tower Control. They did actually make a couple of changes to some of them though, such as Rainmaker, where instead of having to carry the Rainmaker to one goal, you actually have to carry it to one or two checkpoints before then getting it to the actual goal, which is pretty cool. I always liked Rainmaker quite a bit. I didn't play a lot of ranked battles because I'm not that competitive, but we'll get into that more so later. But the Rainmaker is pretty good. Tower Control is pretty similar. You gotta get the tower into the enemy field, and you gotta get through various checkpoints and then get to the goal. Pretty similar to Rainmaker. Splat Zones, which is okay. You just have to keep a zone in your ink for a specific amount of time, and it's okay. It's fine enough. And then there's also Clam Blitz, where you have to get as many clams into the other sides, basket or whatever it is. I honestly never bothered with Clam Blitz. Even in Splatoon 2, I think it's just too situational based. I personally never liked it, if I'm going to be honest. But the Anarchy Battles are alright. But then there's also Salmon Run, which is more or less the same as it is in Splatoon 2. It has one new stage, but there is also the fact that it does have some new bosses to fight, as well as the fact that after the third wave, sometimes you can actually get like a really cool boss fight against like the King of the Salmonids, which is pretty cool, honestly. I really like that. But really, there's not much different about the Salmon Run, but it's still there regardless. And then we get into a new mode, that being Table Turf. So Table Turf is basically this game's mini game, or whatever you want to call it, or side game, or whatever. Basically, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a card game. It's very similar to the board game Blockus. I'm not sure how many people have played that, but essentially, you get like a bunch of cards, and you have to like place down ink on like a board. You and another player place ink on a board, and basically you need to get as many points as possible, and the amount of points you get is based on the number on the card, and you basically want to try and get it so that way your enemy or opponent or whatever can't place as many blocks down. So that's really how the game works. If you've played like Blockus before, it's a very similar concept to that, but there's a little more to it as well, such as like specials and stuff like that. But even I'm not that great at it, and honestly, it's alright. I like that it's here, but I don't really think it's something that I'm going to play a lot of. I'm sorry, but it's just not, it can't hold a candle to Tycoon from Persona 5 Royal. I'm sorry. It just won't. But hey, it's a fun little distraction. And then getting to the last thing, that being the single player mode. Now, I already mentioned the story, but the actual single player mode is, in my opinion, the best we've seen from the series. It basically combines the Octo expansion as well as the Octo Valley / Canyon from Splatoon 1 and 2 together to create such a good single player mode. Because you have like the overworld where you can explore the levels, and it's very similar to that of like Octo Valley and Canyon. But the levels themselves are pretty much the same as the Octo expansion, where they have very specific objectives and very specific weapons you have to use. It's really good. I really liked, in particular, the missions where you have to use like the Zipcaster, which is one of the new specials in the game. I really like that. I really like it. It's like a grappling hook. It's so cool. I love it so much. It's really, really good. The single player mode in this game is easily my favorite. There's a lot more to it as well. There's a lot more that goes into 100%ing it. And while I haven't 100%ed it yet, I have finished all the missions, including the really hard one, as well as getting all the sunken scrolls and upgrading all the gear. But yeah, single player wise, it's really, really solid. So gameplay wise, it's really, really good. And now moving on to the controls. The controls basically are the same as that of Splatoon 2 and the first game, so really not much to say there. But moving on to the content of the game, I kind of already went over it, but honestly, for $60, I know some people like who played Splatoon 2 and are seeing this and aren't like crazy for Splatoon are like, oh man, this is just like $60 for like Splatoon 2.5, and like, I understand that like Splatoon 3, I'll be completely honest, isn't really that different from Splatoon 2. I mean, hell, some of the footage I'm showing you on screen, you may not even be able to tell the difference between Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3. Let's be honest here. But to be honest, a lot of shooter games are like this. A lot of them aren't that different from one another, and I feel like Splatoon 3, yes, it is very, very similar to the previous game, but I think there's still enough here that makes it better. I mean, the single player alone, I think, is much, much, much better than what we've seen before. So I think Splatoon 3 was easily worth the price of $60. Though, if you are on the fence and you already have Splatoon 2, I would say maybe wait for a discount, honestly. But that's how I feel. And then moving on to the soundtrack. The soundtrack of the game is pretty good. I don't think it doesn't stick in my head nearly as much as the first or second games, but some of the music's really good. I really like the music that plays in the single player mode for, again, the Zipcaster levels. That music's really good. I like it a lot. But yeah, the soundtrack's pretty good. And now moving on to my final thoughts on the game. The game's really good. I really don't have much bad to say about it. It's really, really good. What else can I really say? Well, actually, I do have one more thing to say, and that is I do wish that they had offline battles. I really wish they did. Playing online, while the game can be fun, like online, sometimes, it can be really annoying sometimes if you want to get levels, because I'm going to be honest, I'm somebody who's almost always on the losing side, and it really makes grinding levels kind of hard. I'm at level 14 right now, so I'll probably be higher eventually, but I do plan to stream Splatoon 3 next week on my YouTube channel, so if you want to kind of see what I'm talking about in the sense of the online not being the best, you can watch that stream when that happens. So there'll be more details. I'll leave some more details later down the line if you're interested in that. But I really do wish that there were offline battles. I really wish this was Splatoon 2, and I wished it with this game, but alas, nothing. But at least Splatoon 3 has enough to do offline and whatnot, and without, like, being competitive, that is good. So, on my scale of 0 to 10, I give Splatoon 3 a solid 8.8 out of 10. I'm not entirely sure of what I gave Splatoon 2 as a score, but if I did give it a higher score, I would probably bump it down a bit and put Splatoon 3 above it. I do think Splatoon 3 is a better game, in my opinion. I will say Splatoon 2, I played a lot more of that game than I probably will with Splatoon 3. I still think Splatoon 3 is a much better game, in my opinion. But I don't know what the original score was for Splatoon 2. My Splatoon 2 review, I made that a very long time ago. I have no idea. I don't know. If it was higher, well, I would bump it down a few points, so this game can be a little better. But that's how I feel. Let me know how you feel in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of this game, and if you guys want to see more Splatoon content from me, well, I'm going to be holding, again, a live stream next week. I'm going to be streaming Splatoon 3 on YouTube, not on my Twitch. But I'll have more details on that soon, as I don't know yet what my schedule is, so I'll kind of figure that out as I go. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out and take care, everybody.